matter where you come from. And I believe that it's time now to see black people rise up. We now going through emancipation. Black people rise up as one. We hear what happening to black in America and those things with Mr. George Floyd and others. And we as black people, if we get together as one and try to live as one, we will be a force to reckon with anybody or any other tribe or nation out there in the world who try to bring down the black man because he's black. You understand? And I proud to be black. I ain't promoting any race with nobody. But I believe as one, come from the same handmaid. We got to live as one, brother. We cannot, because who will build our economy? The whites come in and help build, because look at our university. Them play a good role to our economy. And it matter whatever. We got to live as one. We can't live separate from one another. And that's the thing that we got to live as one Caribbean brothers and sisters. Right? Brother Abel, you have a wonderful day. God bless.
All right, thanks, caller. Yes, that caller was just reflecting, and the consensus is that we should continue to acknowledge everyone when they're doing right. You know, give give kudos out to the person when they're doing something good. I know we always chastise people when they're doing wrong, whether it be we're on different sides of the political fence. But at the end of the day, we have to be each other's keeper, our brothers and sisters keeper. We go back to the phone lines. Caller, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm well.
Hello. How are you?
I'm well.
Oh yes, I too want to give kudos to my former teacher, Teacher Sylvan Henry, primary school teacher. Continue teaching. Your past students are out here listening to you. And we love you. Also, you mentioned about recognizing people while they're alive. Give them the flowers they could smell, not when they're gone. Even to the former prime minister and so on. He took who we recognize. And also to our beloved Governor General. And those who to come. Thank you.
All right, thanks, caller. Yes, so that seemingly is the consensus this afternoon. But right now, we'll continue with the program, and we'll hear a bit from Barbados' Prime Minister, Mia Mottley, sharing her thoughts, views, and opinions on the passing of former Prime Minister Owen Arthur. So we'll go right to that now, here on Voices.
Okay, While I speak today as Prime Minister of Barbados, and there is so much going through my head after 32 years of relationship, and I might add a sleepless night, my thoughts go back to the morning after September 6, 1994, 28 years ago, when Mr. Arthur called and offered me the Ministry of Education, Youth and Culture, and thereafter offered Liz Thompson the Ministry of Health. We were described as being too green for the task of these large ministries, and that he needed to appoint more seasoned individuals. Owen advised us to ignore those comments and to press ahead with the mission, as he believed we would succeed. He believed in Barbados and in what we could achieve. That reinforcement of what we could do anchored us on a journey for which I shall always be grateful. Owen Arthur, that I knew, was never overwhelmed by the task at hand. Face it and fix it. That was his mantra. Indeed, his greatest domestic legacy will be considered by many as the wrestling of unemployment from the horrendous highs of the early 1990s to under 7% in 2008. It seems like an archaic economic achievement, but it meant real things to real Bajans in real ways. The promise that many doubted at the outset of his tenure was delivered over the 3 terms, the creation of 30,000 jobs. And when it came to our country, Owen defended Barbados with a ferocity that reinforced in many that he understood and accepted that those who went before had set a very high standard for the defense of our country, and that he was duty-bound to continue in the same vein. This strong patriotism was anchored by a burning passion for regional integration and for the Caribbean civilization. This passion fortunately coincided with his responsibility as the lead Prime Minister in CARICOM for the single market and single economy. I was with Owen in Jamaica when he signed in 2006, early 2006, with tremendous pride, the instrument that brought the CARICOM single market into existence. He was brimming with pride. On another front, Owen set out to and did master the art of politics. But he never in so doing compromised his economic training and his commitment at all times to sound policy. It was his hallmark. Owen, from the early 1990s, molded a new class of politician in this country and changed in many ways how those representatives would serve to better meet the changing needs, would serve the better chances and obligations of a politician as they serve their constituents. He worked assiduously in his own St. Peter to make this the new standard for political mobilization and representation for all. And we all followed. I witnessed it firsthand as I managed 4 election campaigns for him, 2 general elections and 2 by-elections. On looking back at the closing years of the last century and the early years of this century, there is no doubt, my friends, that Owen Seymour Arthur was the man for the times. Owen never lost the thirst for public policy, not even after he left government. His counsel, especially on the Barbadian economy, was rendered to all governments. Indeed, it was on this platform where duty met politics and policy in the national interest that he and we would anchor our most recent relationship. And I thank him for meeting me here in the last 18 months. I asked him to serve in a number of key areas, including in a Jobs and Investment Advisory Council. This came after his work in the last year as he helped this government in the forging of a new industrial policy and in the review of the international trade options of small island developing states as we prepared ourselves to be the smallest country to host an UNCTAD assembly. His work will continue as we continue those preparations and will be built upon. Tragically, COVID would put paid to one of his very last assignments, the chairmanship of LIAT. It was with a heavy heart that he and his board recommended the liquidation of LIAT 1974 Limited. Owen was conscious that he made the decision to increase Barbados's participation with LIAT at the turn of the century in a previous time, but that the scale of the impact of COVID and the state of the company as it is today would make that task virtually out of our reach, and certainly as Barbadians, given all that we now had to face with COVID. My friends, our country, Barbados, is the poorer for his people.
Well, there you had it. That was an excerpt from Barbados' Prime Minister Mayor Motley speaking on the passing of that territory's former Prime Minister Owen Arthur. And we go back to the phone lines. Caller, good afternoon. Caller, you're live. Oh, seems as though we don't have that caller. But yes, right now we're reflecting on what has been a sad last couple of days. And we go back to the phone lines. Caller, good afternoon. Caller, you're live.
Mr. Abel, good afternoon. And good afternoon to all the listeners. I'm trademark my call from Montserrat. Good afternoon to my sister, Connecticut, representing Connery. And I call to give my tribute to Mr. Kane. Same way, just like everybody else. I did not know him in person, but I listened to him over and over in the operating room. You can see a man with knowledge, I need experience, and who, I have to say who, was listening and taking heed, probably, I don't know what anybody else would have learned something. And then you ask what you can think, and I hear my sister say that while somebody alive do this and do that. You usually get eulogy after somebody dead. While them alive, then I really usually get the flowers. And I don't know when that will change. So, all I can say, let me just hope for the best, but I don't know when that I go ever change. Okay then, that was mine a little bit, Mr. Abel.
All right.
And
Thanks.
tomorrow should be my last to Mr. Bacchus when I deliver, and then more usually will give tomorrow.
No, man.
Okay,
You can't just leave us like that. You have a large following. Everybody looks forward to hearing from you.
Me around from around over 5 years.
Well, you're now into the business, man.
Well, you're gonna hear my voice too. Alright? I will touch.
Alright, thanks a lot.
Okay then. Everybody, good afternoon.
Alright.
Okay then.
Yes, we're reflecting on the life of our two fallen stalwarts, as well as taking a look at Owen Archer, one of the, well, I would say an instrumental prime minister in the region. We lost 3 distinguished gentlemen over the last few days, but at this point in time, we have to acknowledge our partner SL Hosford and Company, and then we'll come right back with Voices here on Win FM.
It's the Houseware Sale of the Year at Horseman's. Happening now at Horseman's Building and Diva Centers. It's the biggest houseware sale of the year. Yes, come to Horseman's Building and Diva Centers and get 25% off all houseware items, 25% off on blenders, pots and pans, small appliances, openers, bread makers, deep fryers, electric heaters, irons, airbeds, shower caddy, bowls, frying pans, bathroom wares such as trash cans, toilet paper holders, toilet bowl brush, plus brooms, mops, sponges, and much, much more. It's the Houseware Sale of the Year at Horseman's Building and Diva Center. 25% off on all housewares happening now. Sale ends August 31st. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
Welcome back to Voices here on Win FM. We go straight to the phone lines. Caller, good afternoon. You're live.
Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Let us something about former Prime Minister Owen Arthur and the present Prime Minister Mayor Motley. Now, one thing you need to know about Owen Arthur, that his constituency reminds me of St. Paul's. He represented the parish of St. Peter. That's where my daughter used to live in Barbados. And as they say, Owen did not have to do anything for them. Owen was their man. You know that kind of politics? While they're complaining about how the other parishes being developed and whatever, they would march the polls and put back in Owen every time. Now, Mayor Motley is very forgiving, and this is something I have been trying to push. I guess you are aware that Owen Arthur did not want Mayor Motley to succeed him Are you aware of it?
They had their disagreements.
I mean, it was open. Wow, he did everything he could to try and keep Mayor Motley from taking over the party. Now you hear what she said. He's an economist by training, like as I am. And he was willing in his latter years to put aside all of his whatever for the good of Barbados. That is a call I made a few years back. And I was saying to the former Prime Minister, when you have certain experiences and so, we must be willing to put our expertise to the use of the country, even if we don't like the person, which is something I have trained myself to do. You may not like me, but if there is something I can do to help you, I would do it. If you come and say, Miss Henry, I have this essay, this economics thing I don't understand, or this maths, or this problem, I would, even though I know you don't like me or whatever, it doesn't matter. And that is the kind of spirit that I want us to develop. And he didn't go in a corner and sit down and do nothing. He was working on the LEAT thing, so I was a kind of shock. I know he wasn't keeping well. And a lot of us have I've been thinking about it, a lot of civil servants and former political candidates, ministers of government have experiences and are often unwilling to share. Now, there are some people who don't want you to share too, eh? There are some people who like to guard tough, who are insecure, who don't want anybody to tell them anything. But if you know that you know something that could help your country, sometimes you got to overlook something, and that is where I admire Richard Keynes and the present Governor General. Even though they had the commission of inquiry and they were dragging all the prime ministers to the dirt, smearing their character and everything. When the Labour government went in, Dr. Douglas himself said it. When he had certain law things, he would call upon Tapley Seaton. Those are the kind of people we must admire. And I want to encourage some people who may be holding back, well, my government ain't in, so I'm not going to do anything. Remember, you're not doing it for man praise, you're doing it for God and country. So I send my condolences to the people of Barbados, because I have a Bajan granddaughter and Bajan son-in-law. Send to on my Bajan relatives up there. My condolences, and as I say, Abel, what you do matter. Or in Arthur, I am glad that he passed after he had mended fences. Don't let us die with all kind of things in our heart. To my brother in our Montserrat, we are going to miss you. We're going to miss you. You're my brother in the Lord, I know you'll leave me out. But I want you to keep calling. Keep calling. You have something to contribute. If I was to act that way, I would have kept off the radio a long time ago. When we have a contribution to make, we think about others above ourselves. So condolences to Owen Arthur's family and to the people of Barbados. God bless you.
All right. Thanks, caller. Yes. Okay, yes, I am a little touchy, but in terms of reflection, I always say this, and I'll keep rehashing it at least until the end of the program. Let us acknowledge people when they're alive for what they would have done and the contributions they would have made. Okay, just before we go back to the phone lines, I have to play this interview that was done earlier. You heard a little bit of it on the headline news with regards to the latest when it comes to Culturama, well, I can't say culture, sorry. When it comes to activities for Easter Monday on Nevis, there was some, we ran a story and we did the interview with Chairman of the Culturama Committee, Antonio Abernathy Liburd, last week, and he did confirm that Culturama activities are completely off because they did not have the requisite approvals from the Nevis NEOC. However, there are activities on for August Monday and Tuesday. He gave confirmation to us this morning about that, and you heard a bit of it on the news. But we're going to hear from Abernathy right now with regards to what are some of the plans and the measures that are going to be implemented for the holiday period if you want to go to those events. So the people from St. Kitts, you're welcome up on Nevis just to enjoy the 2 days. He's saying that hotels, those that are open, have already been receiving significant bookings. But we go straight to that right now.
Okay, the August Monday weekend will be celebrated on Nevis in a very special way. Last week, I would have made an announcement on WinFM that there will be no activities for the Culture Armor weekend. Culture Armor itself having been cancelled early in the year, a decision was taken not to stage any activities over the weekend. However, things have changed, and so the Nevis Island administration has decided that it will, in the absence of the Culture Armor celebrations, it will stage 2 days of activities in Charlestown, and those days will be Monday, August 3rd, and Tuesday, August 4th. Tuesday, August 4th now being declared as a public holiday. It was decided that the activities will extend into Tuesday as well. And so what we will have stationary entertainment. There'll be no street jamming. We will be erecting a stage in the area of the Diawawin Plaza, and we will have electronic bands, we'll have DJs playing on that stage, and we will be inviting vendors to come set up their tents, set up their vending stations, and make some monies over those 2 days. Now, the activity for Monday begins at 7 o'clock in the morning, where we'll have electronic bands, DJs, right up until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Then between 1 and 4, we will have cultural performances. So we will have the string band, we'll have the steel band, we'll have masquerades, we'll have clowns, we'll have mummies, we'll have muckajumbies, anything that is cultural. Those would be performing between 1 and 4. And then from 4 o'clock in the afternoon until 10 o'clock in the evening, we will be going back with the electronic bands and the DJs. Same thing is going to happen on Tuesday, except that on Tuesday, the activity begins at 10 o'clock in the morning. So we'll have DJs from 10 in the morning right up until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Between 1 and 4, we'll have cultural performances. This time, the cultural performances will be coming from St. Kitts. The mummies and the actors, masquerades, clowns, they will be coming over from St. Kitts and partnering with our folklore groups on Nevis to provide entertainment throughout Charlestown between 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock. And then from 4 o'clock into the evening, right up until 10, we'll move back, and the electronic bands and the DJs will take over. Now, I want to emphasize that because of COVID-19, we will be adhering to the COVID-19 rules and protocols. And so persons wishing to vend on that day are required, it is mandatory that they register their names at the Culture Armor Secretariat in Charlestown. There would not be a vending fee, but we want to have absolute control over the 2 days activities. And so if you're a vendor, you must register your name. And here's what we are going to be doing. Between the streets, on the street of on Main Street, between the A.L. Evelyn building and the High Court, next to the War Memorial Square, we will be allowing vendors to set up along that route. We will be marking out the areas. The booths are going to be 10 feet apart, and so we will be marking out the areas, and we'll be assigning numbers to the registered vendors. And so if you are a vendor and you have spot number 10, you will go and look and see where spot number 10 is, and you will only be allowed to set up in spot number 10. We are also making it mandatory that the vendors provide hand sanitizers for the patient, for the patrons rather, and also we are insisting that the vendors provide washing stations for their patrons. All persons who are vending, who are selling, must be wearing masks, and we are also encouraging the patrons to wear their mask and to socially or physically distance themselves. When I had a virtual meeting with task force last night, they said 3 feet is acceptable, so once persons are spaced 3 feet apart, that would be acceptable. Now, as I said, we'll be having a stationary stage downtown in the region of the DR Warren Plaza. This we will have the loud DJs and bands. But at the War Memorial Square, right next to the High Court, we will have the cultural performances. So these will find the masquerades, the string band, the steel band, the other cultural performers. They're going to be in that area. So if persons do not want to be in the area where there is the loud music, they can go to the War Memorial Square and enjoy a more laid-back type of entertainment, the cultural performances and the folk music.
How come the change of heart from the Nevis Island administration, to have this now after making that initial push to have it cancelled so early?
My own take on it is that persons have been locked up at home under severe restrictions, curfews, lockdown days. Persons have been stressed, and persons have been clamoring. They have been asking, they have been begging, they have been pleading for some form of entertainment over the 2 days that we are now going to be having back. Additionally, it's a way of having some money circulated in the economy. You would recognize that the vendors who rely heavily on Culturama would not have an opportunity to vend this year. And so, to provide some financial relief for them, we decided that, hey, let's stage an activity, let's provide some entertainment, let people come out, lay down their hair, get rid of some of their stress, let the vendors come out, make some money, let the supermarkets make some money, let the wholesalers make some money, let the guest houses and the hotels make some money. Now, in terms of the hotels, my understanding is, as early as last weekend, Wally Beach Hotel was completely booked, and they are also completely booked for this coming Emancipation Day weekend. So it means that persons are coming over from St. Kitts and they are booking into these accommodations. I understand that the Hamilton, which offers accommodation as well, is virtually booked out for this coming weekend. And Golden Rock, they are open and they are reporting some bookings as well. So it's a way of kind of jump-starting the economy, getting people back to work, let the small businesses, the small hotels, the guest houses, let them start to function and let them start to make money and have money circulating inside the economy.
Going back to this social distancing and the protocols, how is that going to be enforced to ensure that these measures are being adhered to? Because if you're going to have the stage in town and people are going to be walking around and passing by, how are you guys going to be enforcing that?
Well, I met with the task force virtually last evening. We had a meeting, and that is their main concern, I must admit. The police is going to be out in their numbers, and they have advised that we need to get private security to assist the police in ensuring that there is some physical distance. They have said to me last evening during our virtual meeting that they would allow 3 feet distance between persons. Now, one of the things that we are going to be doing is that we will have an announcer on stage throughout the entire day, and the announcer will be enforcing the protocols or reiterating the protocols over the public address system, encouraging people. We can only encouraging people to ensure that they observe the COVID-19 protocols.
Is there anything you guys are going to be looking to do virtually or so? Or just
no, there's not going to be. There was an announcement, I understand, that was made when Tuesday was declared a public holiday. That has been done in commemoration of the virtual Culturama that we held. We will not be having a virtual Culturama. As a matter of fact, these activities that will be held over Monday and Tuesday would not have the name of Culturama affixed to them. They're not Culturama-related events. The Nevis Island administration is putting on these events. So the Culturama committee is not involved in any way with the activities that are going to be staged this weekend. The Culturama secretariat is involved because I've been tasked with the responsibility along with the CEO of the Nevis Cultural Development Foundation, the CEO of the Nevis Tourism Authority, Minister Troy Libert, who is actually the Minister of Education. We have been charged with putting these activities together on behalf of the Nevis Island administration for the emancipation of the weekend. So it has nothing, these activities have nothing about Culturama attached to it. The only thing about Culturama is attached to it is probably me, the executive director and the chairman of Culturama.
There you had it. That was Chairman of the Culturama Committee, Antonio Abernathy-Liber, just updating us on the fact that they will be having some events, not the Culturama Committee, but the Nevis Island Administration is going to be filling the gap to have some events there. And bookings at the hotels are already at capacity. So, but we'll acknowledge our partner, SL Housewares and Company, and we'll come right back here with Voices on Win FM.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
It's the Houseware Sale of the Year at Horseman's. Happening now at Horseman's Building and Nevis Centers. It's the biggest houseware sale of the year. Yes, come to Horseman's Building and Nevis Centers and get 25% off all houseware items, 25% off on blenders, pots and pans, small appliances, openers, bread makers, deep fryers, electric heaters, irons, airbeds, shower caddy, bowls, frying pans, bathroom wares such as trash cans, toilet paper holders, toilet bowl brush, plus brooms, mops, sponges, and much, much more. It's the Houseware Sale of the Year at Horseman's Building and Nevis Center. 25% off on all housewares happening now. Sale ends August 31st. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
Welcome back to Voices. As we're about to bring the curtains down, we go straight to the phone lines. Caller, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jermine.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, Jermine, I just want to send my condolences going out to Owen Arthur, from the family of Owen Arthur, former Prime Minister for Barbados, very humbling man. And I've always felt the Caribbean politics. I remember Sir Grantley Adams and Barrow. How we go? I'll forget the name, Barrow. The Barrows them. I think he had two Barrows brothers.
Yes.
Who Barbados. I always follow Mr. Manley from Jamaica, this guy there from Guyana. Him again?
Burnham?
Yeah, Burnham. Yes, I always followed the Caribbean politics years ago when I was a young man. My father always followed the Caribbean politics and so. And those guys must start well, and we got to give them credit, for what they has done to hold the country together. And I just want to say something about what Sylvie said. Now, in our little federation of St. Kitts Nevis, you understand? The Honorable Dr. Timothy Harris done win the government twice. And up to now, not a congratulation from the opposition leader. You understand? 2 consecutive times the Unity Party has win the government. And no time in a small federation like us. No time the former Prime Minister come and congratulate Dr. Harris and his unity government. And that is why you see that the people in the country is so politically divided. You understand? Especially some who on the political side back instead of supporting Labour or supporting PAM or supporting PLP. We got to do away with that. We got to, when somebody saw, we think Dr. Douglas got to pass to the tomorrow. You understand? You think I wouldn't come on the way and say something good about him? I will, because he has done well too. Everything is negative for him. And we got to understand that. But you got some people don't have no heart at all, brother. And I don't know. Dr. Harris done win the government twice, and up to now, no congratulate. He find excuse because he find excuse to come you congratulate him. And that's the thing, that's the blind away of politics. We are different in this country. I do not think nowhere else different than kind of blind politics, but think it needs people. We're supposed to do away with that man. You understand? When a man has done for his country, whether he do bad, he do little, people talk a lot about Mr. Bacha, a lot of bad things about Mr. Bacha. And I come up under Bacha. I had some time with Bacha. I know a little bit about him, leadership. But I hear Bacha do. Bacha has done well for the Federation, especially with our lands. And we got to give him credit. He come a national hero. I think he was the first national hero. Mr. Frank was the first national hero. There was a man who fight for the people. You understand? And by right, we got to give him credit. And Dr. Simon, as the Prime Minister, talk good about Mr. Bacha and give him his kudos too. You understand? And I believe that as a former Prime Minister, I believe that he should have done likewise what Dr. Simon and other leaders do in the Federation and abroad. But Abel again, you have a wonderful day again. God bless.
Thanks, caller. We're about to bring the curtains down on voices. We'll just sneak in this one last caller, but they will have to be extremely short. Caller, you have to be to the point. 30 seconds. Go ahead. Caller?
Hello?
Good afternoon. Yes, you have to be short.
Yes, let me say quickly. I'm happy to hear that Nevis is going to have something for the holidays coming up. And it's nice. It's a welcoming relief. And, it's still set to observe, the COVID, specifications and so on. There won't be any jamming. It's just stage performance. And I know the person are going to welcome that. They may not go over for the activities maybe, but just to unwind. And I think that is appropriate. It's nothing out of the way and anything like that. Cultural presentations and so on. So I say kudos to them. I'm happy that they can do something for those 2 days. All right, we can't just lie down and die. You understand? It can't just happen. Life goes on regardless. Okay.
All right. Thanks, caller. Well, that was Voices for today. We looked at, in the first hour, we paid homage to one of the stalwart here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and that is Mr. Richard Keynes. We reflected on what he has done and some of the accomplishments he attained here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And then we also looked at a bit at the preparations for the hurricane season. Yes, we have a tropical storm out there, and currently we're under a tropical storm watch. Just an update before I depart from here. The St. Kitts Met Office has just confirmed what the Antigua Met Office has indicated to us earlier, and I brought it to your attention. St. Kitts and Nevis is now under a tropical storm warning. Yes, and that is in regards to tropical cyclone number 9. It has maximum sustained winds of 40 miles per hour. On the current forecast track, the system is forecast to move through the Leeward Islands on Wednesday and near or over the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico on Wednesday night and near or over the Hispaniola on Thursday. Tropical storm force winds extend outward up to 230 miles, primarily to the northeast of the center. Potential hazards to St. Kitts and Nevis. Storm force winds are expected across St. Kitts and Nevis by tomorrow through Thursday. Residents are asked to secure loose objects in and around their properties. Rainfall potential. Possible total accumulation of 3 to 6 inches with higher totals possible. As such, flash flood warnings are likely to be issued by tomorrow. Residents in area prone to flash flooding and landslides are asked to exercise extreme cautions. Seas are expected to respond to the approaching potential tropical cyclone, and as such, they are likely to begin deteriorating sometime during the course of Wednesday, July 29 into Thursday, July 30th. Seas will become rough, reaching 9 to 14 feet, and possible higher figures. Mariners are encouraged to secure their vessels today in advance of the system. Seabathers are discouraged from going into the seas during the passage of this system. It is expected to generate life-threatening waves and rip currents. Additional information will be provided in this evening's forecast. Do stay tuned to WinFM. Evening News will have the latest on that. Also stay tuned to WinFM. News and sports at 6 and interesting programming. Continue the music and entertainment continue throughout the day here on WinFM. I was your host, Jermine Abel. Do join us again at 11 tomorrow for another edition of Voices. Tomorrow from 12:30, we'll be joined by the opposition leader in the British Virgin Islands. Until then, I'm out. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
Different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
It's the house where